I think what you say is very interesting about learn the craft.
Yeah, yeah.
And learn the construction, because I don't know who it was, whether it was certainly read it in a book, but it's been talked about in many shapes or form, this idea that you can only take something forward when you've learnt from the past.
Oh, totally.
And how can you understand why a squiggle should be a squiggle if you don't understand where that squiggle comes from?
Yeah.
Otherwise it just becomes something that's placed on top of.
Absolutely. I think, well, as you say, it's like anything. I think the theory, to have the theory to back it up is just as important, for me, I think, especially with menswear very much prides itself on detail and attention to detail and construction and the fit. Something that I'm very, very, very proud of, because I feel that, when I came into doing this, when I made the decision to do Lou Dalton, and to take it to where we're at now, even though we're way off from where I want it to be, I didn't want it just to be a sort of half-hearted sort of suggestion to menswear. I think the reason why I've had the support to date, and we're continuing to get the support, is because I haven't faked my path. It is what it is. I know my craft. I understand, the theory behind menswear. I understand the historical relevance to menswear, and especially from the whole Savile Row, the whole tailoring aspect, because that's what I started with. So,
yeah, and also that is the bottom line is men's fashion comes from the UK,
absolutely,
from Savile Row, from the kind of uniform background. That's really where fashion started for men.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that all of us menswear designers, young or old, we're always sort of arcing back to like looking at the historical references to kind of, to sort of use as inspiration, or within your wares or whatever you're projecting. I think I wouldn't do justice to what I've tried to put out as a menswear designer if I didn't know my the historical reference or the background to what I'm trying to do. So it does. And the guy I worked for in Shropshire was so meticulous and so precious, and making sure that every detail was considered and the fit was was really important. And he wasn't sitting on Savile Row, he was thousands of miles away in Shropshire, but it was still really relevant, and he had an amazing client base because of that. And because I was so young, and I know we've touched on it before, I was like a sponge, so I could absorb that. And to me it's so important, because the bottom line is when push comes to shove, when we're doing the show and things are tight for time, apart from this, I say, a knitted sweater and your knitted underwear or your socks or whatever, I can make damn right absolutely everything if I had to do it. And you
could sit down and basically sew it yourself, which is actually a fantastic craft to have.
Absolutely, and I've said it time and time again. Even to my assistant, I said, even if we were to be as fortunate to be a big machine like Burberry one day, which would be amazing, there's part of me that still would like to sit behind that machine, because it wouldn't feel complete.
Yeah.
To not have control, not to be able to understand it, because it's part of my design approach.
Yeah, it's like that fiddling. What happens?
Absolutely.
How does it feel? For me, actually, whenever I see collections, I have to touch them.
Yeah.
It's part of understanding a garment, is touching it.
You've got to read. It's like you said, it's like a magazine. You read. You want to know the content. It's like everything. I want to know the inside out. I want to know it from inside out, and to be able to bring to life a concept or an idea in one's mind, for you guys to understand it, I've got to know it inside out, and I do.